Okay, start.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay, I want to make a point here. I want to make a point here. Let's say, for the sake of argument, brother, I want to make a point here. I want Lizzie to hear this. Let's say, for the sake of argument, what the Quran is talking about, you can give divorce to the girls who did not reach menstruated periods yet, even though you didn't give an age. Let's say, for the sake of argument, he's talking about somebody maybe 8, 9, or 10. Yes. Now the question is, when Muhammad peace be upon him married Aisha, according to Hadith, she was 6. But he consummated when she was 9. Now let's say if he would have divorced her when she was 8, married her 6, let's say if he would have divorced her when she was 8, would he be wrong giving her divorce when she was 8 without being touched her? Why don't you take it? This ayah is talking about that, and those time people used to marry young girls. And sometimes your son is 10 and you're marrying a 6-year-old girl. But when he becomes 13 or 14, not consummated yet, he divorced her. So he is allowed to divorce. Same way Muhammad peace be upon him was allowed to divorce Aisha when she was 8. Would that be wrong? Why don't you think this ayah is talking about that divorce which never consummated, but divorce was allowed? Why don't you think that angle?
Okay.
That angle you think is wrong with that? Something wrong with that?
I don't.
Okay, I don't think you're really understanding the assumption here. You're taking it as absolutely fine that a man can marry in the first place a 6-year-old girl. Now, Muhammad, according to you, people who follow Islam, Muhammad is the moral example for all mankind for all time, okay? Both back in the 7th century and today. So, according to that logic, you should still think that today it's okay to get married to a 6-year-old girl. Do you think it's okay to get married to a 6-year-old girl?
You had your 1 minute?
Yeah, that's all I'll have, yeah.
Okay, if you
Do
want
you
my
think
answer,
it's- yes, please.
is it okay to marry a 6-year-old girl? No. And neither did Muhammad peace be upon him want you to marry her, even according to Hadith. It's Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu came to him and asked him, can you please marry my daughter? And he was his long-term friend for many years. So Muhammad peace be upon him didn't go to and ask him, can I have hand of your daughter? But he requested, he wanted it. Why? For a relationship with him. To have that kind of relationship of father-in-law or son-in-law, that kind of close relationship with him. And he thought maybe he's the best man in the world to marry my daughter, even she's sick. So he couldn't say no to him. He didn't go out to marry. And in my view, it's not right. It's not right to marry young girls from you go and marry out young girls with not having a menstrual periods and all that. This is my personal opinion. I don't think it's right. And neither did Muhammad peace be upon him went. He was asked, he was requested to marry, and he couldn't say no.
Time out.
Right, so I'm just going to answer this question by reading a hadith to you, okay, from Bukhari, because you're saying that it was a kind of contract between two adults, okay, and this is from Aisha. From the hadith of Bukhari, volume 6, number 234, narrated Aisha, the Prophet engaged me when I was a girl of 6. We went to Medina and stayed at the home of Harith. There I got ill, my hair fell down. Later on, my hair grew again, and my mother, Ruman, came to me while I was playing in a swing with some of my girlfriends. She was on a swing because she was 6. She called me and I went to her, not knowing what she wanted to do to me. Where is Aisha in all of this, giving her consent to this marriage, okay? She caught me by the hand and made me stand at the door of the house. I was breathless then, and when my breathing became all right, she took some water and rubbed my face and head with it. Then she took me into the house. There in the house, I saw some Ansari women who said best wishes and Allah's blessing and a good luck. And she entrusted me to them as they prepared me for the marriage. Where in this hadith is Muhammad asking Aisha what her opinion is? Where is Muhammad in this hadith asking the parents what their opinion is? Okay, it's like Aisha, a young girl. Wait a minute. It's like Aisha, a young girl of 6, has absolutely no idea what is happening to her. Unexpectedly, Allah's messenger came to me in the forenoon, and my mother handed me over to him unexpectedly. Okay, and at that time I was a girl of 9 years of age. So what is going on here? Aisha doesn't seem to know at all what is going on. Okay, if my 6-year-old daughter, okay, if I just took her into play and she knows nothing, and there's some guy who I've decreed that she's going to marry to, is that right? Is that loving? Are her parents acting in the right way? Is Muhammad acting in the right way? And bear in mind, he is supposed to be your example for all mankind. Do you honestly think that this behaviour towards girls is okay?
Can I say nothing?
Yeah.
Now, the first question you put through, what Aisha was thinking through at that time. What Aisha, how she felt at that time. We know through a lot of ahadith how Aisha felt about his marriage. What Aisha mentioned, hang on a minute, it's my turn now. what Aisha said, she wrote, at least she narrated more than 2,000 ahadith, yeah? And according to her ahadith, not a single word of contempt towards Muhammad peace be upon him. Not that he was, how cruel he was, what he did. All about praising about Muhammad peace be upon him. That's what tells you what she thought about that. If she would have thought about anything wrong, she must have mentioned, when she mentioned this hadith, she must have mentioned how I felt when I went to bed with him, what he did with him, how wrong which she would have. She had met plenty of time. She lived 50 years, something like that, after Muhammad peace be upon him death. She had plenty of time to explain later on what she felt through, how torturous her life was. Not a single word, which tells you, which is a testimony how Muhammad peace be upon him treated with her. This is a testimony of his character and how she took that marriage.
So what you're saying is because in the hadith we don't read anything negative that Aisha said, but actually I do think Aisha does say some negative things about the Prophet. Yes, yeah. Okay, he struck me on the chest and I felt pain. Okay. But first of all, we do hear things like this from Aisha. This is from Muslim, Volume 2, 3309. Aisha reported Allah's Messenger married me when I was 6-year-old and I was admitted to his house at the age of 9. From the hadith of Sunan Abu Dawud, Volume 2, 2116. Aisha said the Apostle of Allah married me when I was 7 years old. He had intercourse with me when I was 9 years old. So it's just like factual description. Okay, it doesn't say it was terrible, but it doesn't say it was great, does it? So you can't deduce from the fact that it doesn't say it was terrible that it was great. All it says, okay, so all it says is that she was 6 and then 9 when it was computed. Now this shouldn't be about Aisha's feelings. It should be just a right or wrong answer. Is it right to marry a 6-year-old girl? Is it right to have sex with a 9-year-old girl? There's a simple yes or no answer to that. It's regardless of
First of all, I already gave you the answer. In my opinion, it's not right, yeah? But you just contradicted yourself. Let me make my point. You just said earlier how Aisha felt about all that. How Aisha thought about that were happening. Nobody asked her. Now you said it's not about Aisha's feeling, it's about right and wrong. So you just contradicted yourself. Before you say her feeling,
I think it's nice to take into account her feelings.
It's my time. You said how nobody thought about how she felt. Nobody asked her. Now you say it's not about how Aisha felt. It's about right and wrong. Why you said that? Because I prove it to you. Not a single word from Aisha after the death of Muhammad peace be upon him. Anything wrong about how wrong he was. Not a word of contempt against him. That's a testimony of how Aisha felt about this marriage. That she didn't feel anything wrong. Muhammad peace be upon him was good towards her. Nothing wrong. So this is what your answer is, how she felt. Right and wrong, I believe, is not right. And also in Islam, Islam taught us follow the law of the land. So this, wherever you live in the whichever part of the world you live, you follow the law of the land.
Okay, so what you haven't told me, what you haven't told me is a straight answer, yes or no. Is it right to?
No.
Okay, so you're going against what your prophet thinks.
What's the question?
What's the question? Your prophet thinks that it's okay to marry a 6-year-old girl. That's what your prophet thinks.
It is. Yes.
That's what your prophet thinks.
I would say yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you think it's fine? Do you think it's fine today to marry a 6-year-old
today?
girl?
That's a different question.
Good.
Yeah, but your
keep it
prophet is
structured.
meant to be the example. Your prophet's meant to be the example.
Keep it structured.
Not in all behaviour, no.
Paul,
you don't know Islam
So
very well. If you think that.
Also, you were saying that I was contradicting myself,
Put your hand up
talking
immediately.
about Aisha's feelings. No, I think it is fair enough to ask a 6-year-old girl who's about to get married how she feels about it, whether or not she consents to it. Okay, I was making the point that in those hadith I read, okay, her feelings aren't talked about at all. You were given the impression that she was somehow okay with everything. Well, actually, the hadith doesn't say at all that she was okay with it. The hadith doesn't say anything other than the fact, which is that Muhammad married her when she was 6 and it was consummated when she was 9.
Because Muhammad married a 6-year-old.
When I was saying about hadith, I was talking about this particular hadith. Of course, this particular hadith didn't say how she felt because she was little. But I'm saying that she had plenty of time later on in her life to explain, say how tortured her life was, how she felt all those years when she was 10, when she was 11, how she felt about that. She had plenty of time to say something wrong. But on the contrary, she has praised Muhammad peace be upon him about many hadiths, which I can't tell you right now because there's 2,000 hadiths, but all about good about his character. What was his character? He was never bad towards his wife. He was kind towards his wife. All good about him. Imagine a man who's torturing you, having sex with you when you were 9, 10 and 11. You must have a lot of anger towards that person if you think that's wrong. But she didn't show any. She became a scholar of Islam. She praising all the good. So that's what I'm saying. This is a testimony that the marriage was a success. and there was nothing wrong. Neither she took it wrong way, and it was a success. She became a scholar, the most learned woman of her time. Why? Because the knowledge was passed towards her from Muhammad peace be upon him. So it's all good. Okay.
Okay, so firstly, what do you think would have happened to Aisha if at any point in her marriage she'd have gone, actually I don't fancy this anymore? Okay, do you think she might have made some enemies? Do you think it might have been in her best interest in that situation to remain where she was, having observed Muhammad and his companions behaviour towards other women, towards, to the way that other people, his other wives were forcibly taken and their husbands and brothers killed in order to be his wife? But also Aisha actually does complain at some point. She complains of jealousy about the other wives, and also she talks about how the Prophet struck her on the chest, causing her pain. But also back to this point about ayah 65, ayah 4, which is meant to be guiding you for today, right, your Quran. Here is another hadith, okay? This is Al-Katabi from the hadith. It is understood this is about Aisha playing with dolls. But playing with dolls is not like the amusement from other images concerning which the only reason permission is that she had not at that time reached the age of puberty. Okay, so Muhammad married a prepubescent girl, but you're saying that that's not okay today, and it's not something. I hope it's not something that you would do yourself, but it does go on around the world, doesn't it? Like in this picture.
Right,
okay, I don't know what hadith you're reading here. That hadith is not talking about the marriage; it's talking about the consummation of marriage. When she was playing with the dolls, and the marriage was consummated. That because I think there's nothing wrong with marrying somebody. In my personal opinion, it's nothing wrong with marrying somebody who's not even reached puberty, but not consummating. Not consummating. Why? I tell you why. There are some.
Can someone who's not reached puberty give their consent to marriage? Do you think that's okay?
Look.
Do you have children?
Yes.
How many children do you have? Do you have daughters?
I have 4.
How old are they?
20, 18, 16.
Okay, I have daughters. I have 3 daughters, okay? They're 12, 11 and 8. There is no way on earth, no way at all, that I would ever consider them being married to someone at this age. Consummated or not, absolutely no way. They're not in a position to give their consent whether or not they want to stay with someone for the rest of their lives. Absolutely not at all. And I have no hesitation about saying that.
The law has to go.
And I'm surprised that you do.
In Islam, it does also say, ask your children. Ask. It tells us you should. But how do you know
she was not asked? Because I've read you that hadith.
She might have asked.
Aisha did not give her consent. She does not explicitly give her consent.
What I'm saying
Do you
is,
think it's okay for a child, for a girl, to be married to an adult man without consent?
the point I was making.
Even the fact they're married
The
to
point
someone without consent.
point I was making here was you can marry somebody, but consummation is when you reach period. Before periods, the marriage can take place, but as long as there's not being sex involved. It happened in our country, Pakistan. They married.
It's in your country,
No,
and you approve of it.
Listen.
You approve of it.
Listen to what I'm saying.
You think it's okay?
Listen what I'm saying.
You think it's okay? It happens in your country that children are allowed to get married. You think that's okay that children can give their consent to marriage?
Without a permission, it shouldn't be. But then, what kind of permission? You can asking somebody.
You need to ask questions of your religion, sir.
No.
Your religion is sanctioning the abuse of children. The abuse of children.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
You didn't let me finish my point. When 8-year-old boy and 8-year-old girl, parents agree with each other and they marry both of them, but then when they grow up, then they will consummate the marriage and all that. But it happens. Both same age, they got married. And I don't think you find something wrong. Some people say engagement, and some people say nikah. It does, these things did take place, yeah? And I don't think it's morally too wrong about that. If both are young, if both are old.
Okay, so it's not morally wrong.
If both are young,
Let's think
same
about
age.
Muhammad's
But when they
example.
grow
How
up,
old was Muhammad when he married Aisha? He was in his 50s, wasn't he? A 50-year-old man and a 6-year-old girl.
Actually, he was.
Do you think that's okay? Do you think that's okay?
No, hang on a minute. Marriage wasn't consummated until she was 9.
Until she was 9, so that makes it okay.
Yeah.
So he was 50, she was 9 when it was
And
consummated. That makes it okay.
I say if she reached menstruation periods at that time,
Even if,
then.
according to your Quran, even if she hadn't reached the age of having periods, it would have been fine.
Yeah,
It would have been fine.
What you are asking me here is
Don't you think this is a massive issue for Muslims? It's a massive issue for Islam.
I must confess one thing here. First of all, I am not learned. This is the most difficult question. people ask
It's a very
about.
difficult
No,
question.
this is a difficult question. Even the many scholars have struggled and answered.
Thank you for being honest. and
Oh, no,
acknowledging.
this is a very difficult question. But then, I look at the other way. Let's say, what you're saying, that Muhammad peace be upon him married 9-year-old girl. Actually, there are some people say he was not 9, he was older than 9. There are different narrations.
I can't find anything in your traditions that says it was over the 9. I can't find any dispute in Islamic circles that says she was more than 9. It all seems to be a settled question that she was 9.
What I was going to say, there are two sides of it. First of all, what she was maybe mentally more mature than normal 9-year-old. Some 9-year-old may be more mature than the other 9-year-old. Some 13-year-old may be less mature than 9-year-old. It could be possible of that. Secondly, she could be maturity periods. But I'm saying, let's say if you're saying Muhammad peace be upon him, if he married a 9-year-old girl wrongly, and it was wrong thing what he did, but then we look at the rest of his life. What the rest of his life was. If we see the rest of his life and he produced Quran towards us, then in that light of that is the rest of his life.
With women. Should we talk about the rest of his life
Everything.
with women?
About everything.
Okay. Should we talk about his wife Safia? Okay, Safia, who at the Battle of Khaybar was abducted. Her brother and her father were killed.
Abducted?
Yes. So
Enslaved,
and
you mean?
also, and also
Enslaved, not
in the
abducted.
Surah Rasulullah, okay, that there had to be a guard over. Muhammad took her for himself because she was so beautiful. Okay, and a guard was over his bed chamber because he feared reprisals. He feared revenge attack on Muhammad for killing her entire family. Okay, is that your
In the
moral
battle,
example?
in the battle, it
Is
was a
that
battle.
your moral example
Sorry,
of
hang on.
mankind?
In the battle.
And how many wives did he have? How many wives did he even have?
Can I answer?
Yes, tell me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think some people say 9, some say 11,
Yeah,
some
is
say
that
13.
moral? Would you have 9 wives? Would you have 11 wives?
Listen, we are living now, for example, under the law.
Yeah, but forget the law.
But-
Your highest law is meant to be the Quran.
We are living under the law.
You're meant
We
to
are
be
living under
going
law.
by what the Quran says.
Yeah, the Quran tells us marry 2, 3 or 4. But if you can't
so
do
that's okay, is it? 2, 3 or 4 wives is fine. 2, 3 or 4.
That's it. Yeah, of course it's fine.
Is it fine?
Of course it's fine.
How is it fine?
Why it's not fine?
Why is it?
No. Why? Allah says if you can't.
But the thing is, here's an issue, isn't it? Muhammad didn't even obey his own revelation. He didn't even obey. He says, that there's one rule for me because I'm super special. It means I can marry 11 or so women, but you guys can only have 4. He didn't even follow his own revelation.
Can I say
Doesn't
something?
that bother you?
Do you know that when this
Doesn't that bother
revelation
you?
came, marry 2, 3 or 4? Yeah. When the revelation came, how many wives Muhammad peace be upon him already have?
I don't know, but I dread to think, and I pity
No.
those poor
Let's
wives.
say he already have 9 wives. When this come, marry 2, 3 or 4. But if you can't just now what he's supposed to please. What he's supposed to do now? He go home and he divorces 5 wives, and I'm going to leave 4. Would that will be moral? Since he was a prophet, he's not supposed to do that. He was above divorce. He was not supposed to do that. So when the ayah came, after that, did he marry any? After the ayah came, that's another question. But we know in the Quran, Allah says, yes, exactly. Allah says, don't marry, no more wives for you. Allah told him in the Quran. If he was so much wanted to marry more wives, who would have stopped him? But Allah told in the Quran, no more wives for you. So if he's making Quran by himself, according to you, then he's putting limit on himself.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's your turn. Are you ready, Les? Or do you want to
So what do you say about that when the ayah says no more wives for you? What I'm saying is when the ayah came, we need to see how many wives he already have. And he had a choice now. Should I go and divorce them or should I keep them? So since I already have them, I'd rather not divorce them. That's above the prophet to divorce his wives. That's what I'm saying. You need to find out that. But you are playing a lot of different things here, You are assuming a lot of things. You need to read exact hadith what hadith says. When you read the hadith, you need to read the whole hadith. When you say he hit her chest, Aisha, you need to read the whole hadith. Why he did that? Did he?
So he had justification for hitting her chest.
you
Was it okay to?
No, you see why he said that?
He did hit her chest, though, didn't
No,
he?
did he?
Why did he? So
No.
it's not why. It's the fact is you think it's okay
You know what he did?
for him to hit her chest.
No.
So there is justification, isn't there, for hitting a woman's chest?
Do you read the whole hadith?
Okay. Oh, should we look at that? That's in the Quran.
Read
too,
the whole.
isn't it?
What
That
he
it's okay
says.
to beat
Well,
your
look what he
wife.
did.
It's okay.
He said you have a doubt in your
It
law.
caused her
Let
pain,
me
didn't
finish
it?
my
It
point.
caused her pain.
He said like this, Aisha, like this. You have a doubt in your Lord and your Rasul? Because she was doubting the way he went in the night time.
It wasn't just a
So hang
tap,
on.
sir. It says in the hadith
It was a punch,
that
was it?
caused her pain.
Look,
that doesn't cause me
look,
pain.
Look, I tell you.
That doesn't cause
I
me
tell
pain.
you.
Okay, it was a bit harder.
Okay, I tell you what. Okay.
Why was she stay with him for so long?
Okay. I tell you what. Sometimes I say my
That's not an assumption of happiness. She probably had no choice, did she? Or else she was telling
Listen,
you.
Lizzie, can I say something? I have a lovely wife. When sometimes I hug her, I say, I love you, darling. And she said, you're hurting me. But I didn't mean to hurt you. She said, you're hurting. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was just loving you. So when I...
Don't get so hard, sir.
But my intention... My intention was not to hurt her. Same way when Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, do you have a doubt in your Lord, Allah and your Prophet? He didn't mean to hurt her, but if he caused her pain, his intention was not to hurt her. So that's the only example you can find. He hit his wife.
Okay.
That was not a hit. That was just a tap.
Right, I'd just like to read this to you about Safia, okay? Yeah.
So will you agree with me on the tap about the tap
no,
over thing?
I'm sorry. I don't agree with you at all. I don't agree with you at all because the deed said that he hit her on the chest and caused her pain.
No.
Okay, it's not the same as me
I
going
gave
like
you
that.
example.
That doesn't
I gave
cause
you
me
example.
pain.
You can hug
Okay?
somebody.
No,
You can hug somebody. You can cause somebody
You are
pain.
stretching that. You're stretching that.
being a naughty boy.
Okay, that's a real stretch
Stretching
of
that.
what the hadith
Yes, what
is.
were you about to say? Sorry.
Okay, so this is just, I'm going back to the...
You try to play focus a
This is
bit.
about, you were saying how wonderful Muhammad was towards women, basically, and why would Aisha stay with him for so long?
Not towards
if
women, he was
wasn't-
wonderful towards everybody.
Wonderful towards everybody. When the
Everybody,
apostle
alhamdulillah.
married Safia in Khyber on the way, she, having been beautified and combed and got in a fit state for the apostle by Sulaym, the mother of Amas Malik, the apostle passed the night with her in the tent of his. Someone passed the night girl, his sword, guarding the apostle and going around the tent until in the morning the apostle saw him and asked him what he meant by his action. He replied, I was afraid for you with this woman.
Lizzie, can I
For
say
you
one-
have, wait a minute, for you have killed
Brother
her
Mansoor.
father,
No.
her husband and her people until recently she was in unbelief. So I was afraid for you on her account. Okay? So
Can I say something, Lizzie? Look,
He has-
a very learned brother here. I don't feel right to talk when I'm a learned brother standing here. I think he can justify much better than me. So I leave it
that's
to Brother
good.
Mansoor
That's good.
if you don't mind to talk, because you're looking for him. Brother Mansoor, can you take it
Hi,
over
Mansoor,
from here?
how's life? How are you? I'm all right, thank you.
Sorry, can I just stand there on the side?
So we're discussing what I wanted to talk with you last week. We talked a little bit about Ayah 65, verse 4. Sorry, Surah 65, verse 4. Okay, this is. Can I read it out for you again? Go ahead.
Even advocating it, advocating murder is. So,
Okay.
so Muslims are pro-life.
And those of your women as have prescribed the age of monthly courses, for them the Iddah, prescribed period. Can you explain what the Iddah is? What's the Iddah? Waiting period, okay? If you have doubt about their periods, it's 3 months. And for those who have no courses, in my Quran here in brackets it says, i.e. they are still immature, their Iddah prescribed period is 3 months likewise, except in the case of death. So it seems to be talking very clearly, and also the earliest commentaries say this, that this is about young girls, prepubescent girls. Okay, and yesterday when I talked, no, not yesterday, sorry, last Sunday, when I asked you about this, you said that you would go and see if you could find some supporting literature that would support that this verse is only about women with a medical condition that means they never have periods. That is what you said. You said you would go and find something for me along those lines, that actually this was not about prepubescent girls. But all of the literature that I found from Tabari, from Ibn Kathir, from the other hadith, okay, is that this is talking about prepubescent girls. So it seems like your Quran is teaching that it's okay to get married to prepubescent girls. What do you have to say to that?
If you remember correctly, what did I say about the classical commentators? I don't have a problem with if the classical commentators have a view like this, right?
You don't have a view of them supporting that this is about prepubescent
What I
girls.
asked you rather is this: I will dig up and find out within our exegetical tradition if there are instances where they talk about this doesn't refer only to or refer to the prepubescent girls.
And have you found anything?
Of course I have, which I'll share with you in a moment. But what I want to ask you is this. Let's go back again to this particular ayah.
Okay. Meanwhile, for your people, I'd just like to show them
Not
this
meanwhile,
photo.
let's go back.
Okay.
Let's go
Of
back.
an Afghan marriage. Would you let a girl this age get married to a man?
This looks like
this
Joseph
age?
and Mary.
Today.
Yeah, 90-year-old Joseph and
No,
12-year-old Mary.
Joseph was not 90-year-old.
How old is
Twist it, don't twist it,
How old-
Mansoor.
according
He
to
wasn't
Catholic
that
Encyclopedia.
old. He wasn't that
No,
old, was
I'm
he?
not making this up.
Right.
This is according to
Okay.
Catholic Encyclopedia, around that age.
Sorry,
Anyway, let's go back to this ayah.
Yeah. What do you want to read it out?
Yes, please.
Okay. And those of your women as have passed the age of monthly courses, for them the iddah, if you have doubt about their periods, is 3 months. And for those who have no courses, i.e. they are still immature, their iddah is 3 months likewise, except in the case of death.
So those of who? No, let's start again. Let's do word by word. Those of your
women.
Women.
Yeah.
Those of your women.
Yeah.
Is a child a woman?
They are a child if they've not started their periods.
Let's understand that.
Aren't they?
If is a prepubescent girl a woman? Nisa. The Arabic word I'll show you here is woman. Right? Remember what I said. There's a difference between commentary and there's a difference in the Quran. We are dealing with the Quranic text. We're not dealing with the Quranic commentators. The Quranic commentator, I know one
So
of the
you have an argument with them?
Listen.
You think they're not reliable?
No, listen, Lizzie, listen,
No,
listen
I'm
carefully.
interested because this is important. Do you
Listen
think,
carefully.
So you're saying Ibn Kathir is not reliable?
No, listen
You're
carefully.
saying
to me.
Tabri is not reliable?
You're just whitewashing things.
Okay,
Listen.
no, because I think
Remember,
you're trying to dig. I think you're trying to dig around
Lizzie,
this. This is
hear me
you're
out.
picking up on minutiae when actually all of the commentaries say
Here-
that this is about prepubescent girls,
You see?
and it's a practice that still goes on today, isn't it? Still goes on today in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Saudi Arabia.
What are you doing?
Okay, I'm trying to say that your book
Can you let me make my point?
justifies
Right? You're doing that every
marriage
single
to
again and again.
prepubescent girls. Okay, do you not think that that is abhorrent? Do you have daughters? I have 3 daughters.
Do you have boyfriend? What's relevant about this? There's no
Oh,
relevance in
dear.
this discussion.
Oh, dear.
The discussion
Oh,
is
dear.
listen.
It's very relevant. It's very
No, it's
relevant.
not. I'll tell you
You're
why.
interested
No,
in
no,
bringing
stop,
people to
stop,
Islam,
stop.
and I'm saying in Islam, apparently it's okay to get married to
Okay.
prepubescent girls.
Okay,
I
it's my
would
turn to
never
speak.
ever
Thank you very
allow
much,
my
Lizzie.
children, my
Now,
daughters, to get
here's
married
my response.
at a young age.
Here's my
No
response.
way.
Thank you.
But do you think that's okay?
Lizzie,
do you think it's okay?
here's my response. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Right.
Listen.
What does that mean?
The discussion, I seek refuge with Allah from the accursed Satan. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. So I just began with these 2 things that we normally do in Islam. So I don't want Shaitan to come into the discussion, and I want to start in the name of God. So
Okay, so you're
to-
avoiding
okay,
talking
no,
about this.
no,
You've
you're
never done
interrupting.
this in a
You're
discussion with me before,
interrupting.
Mansoor.
You're
You're
interrupting.
avoiding talking about this very
I am
difficult
just about to
verse,
speak and
aren't
you're
you?
interrupting. So now the verse, as I said, what are we discussing? Is the discussion, subject of the discussion, the Quran and the problems that you have with the Quran?
this again.
No, you can't.
Right, don't want to see it. It's uncomfortable.
No, I don't want to see
It's
Joseph and
uncomfortable.
Mary
Seeing.
right now.
Oh, please, Mansoor.
Please.
Okay,
This
can
is
you-
an
No,
no, I'm not talking about
Joseph and Mary.
Getting
I'm not talking
married.
about-
So this is a picture
to
of Joseph the carpenter and Mary the mother of Jesus. Have a look at it. Have a look at it. Show it to the camera.
Joseph was not
Joseph
this old.
and Mary.
No, sorry, it's not. It's Afghanistan.
No, I can clearly see that.
2015.
Joseph the
This is
carpenter,
not
very
Joseph.
appropriate. In fact, this is the Joseph when he was young.
Child marriage happens today in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Saudi Arabia, all over the Middle East.
Lizzie,
Okay.
since we're not talking about your
And
boyfriend,
It's showing
so
Muslim-
let's talk.
it's showing
It
Muslim
has
following the Prophet.
scriptural justification. It has scriptural justification.
It is not fair.
Scriptural
I talk
justification.
about your boyfriend, right? Let's talk about what we're discussing. So number one, point.
Yeah, ad hominem
Infantile.
always
Point
means you've
number one.
lost when you
Point
do the ad
number one.
hominem,
Are you
Mansoor.
listening? Point number one. Are we discussing the Quranic text or are we discussing commentaries? I mentioned to you earlier on, we are going to discuss Quran, the Quranic text. I know certain commentators believe the earth is flat. Does that mean the Quran is wrong? The Quran is not wrong because they believe likewise. You have to now understand.
So you're going to throw out
Let me
Ibn
finish.
Kathir?
Let me finish.
You're going to throw out Tabari?
See, now,
You're going to throw out Maududi, who also thought Spanish? You're going to throw all of that
He
out?
allowed you to finish.
So
let him
you're
finish.
just saying,
Question.
I'm going to take the Quran that I want to believe.
Question, Lizzie.
I'm going to take
Question.
the Quran because it suits my
Do we want to
worldview
discuss the
better.
Quran or the
And
commentaries?
it means we can happily sweep under the carpet all these difficulties
Lizzie.
about this verse.
Are we discussing the Quran or the Quranic commentaries?
All of the commentaries say this is about prepubescent girls.
Most Most of them
Should
do.
we talk? Yeah, and you know what? It was
Did
even
you hear what I
modeled.
said?
It was even.
Did you hear what I said?
Yes.
What did
okay.
I say?
Most of
yes,
them.
most of them do. So,
wait.
yeah. So why
Did
do
you
you think they
comprehend
do?
that?
So why do you think they do? Why do you think
let
they
me tell
do?
you. Let me
Okay?
tell you.
Why do you think they got it so wrong? You're obviously thinking
Let
the
me
ask question, let him
commentators
answer.
got this so wrong.
Lizzie,
Why do you think they
you're
got
not
it so wrong?
comprehending.
Ask
You're not
the
comprehending.
question.
I just said most commentators do, right? Because at that time there was no issue about child marriage, even in Christianity or in Islam or in Hinduism
6-year-olds.
or in Judaism.
6-year-olds.
Why? Because in
6-year-olds.
those
A
times,
6-year-old.
Lizzie, let me finish. You
Depraved.
asked me a question. I would like you to understand the answer. At those times, even in the medieval times, people did not have a problem with marrying young children. They didn't have a problem with
serious?
that. Let me finish.
Are you
Let me finish. Even in England,
You have a boyfriend.
since
Spain is 16, you can marry.
brother, even in England,
Go to Spain.
This
since
is the 7th century, Mansoor.
Excuse me.
This is the 7th century.
Lizzie.
Okay, this is not 1000 BC. The 7th century. Was it still okay to marry a 6-year-old like your prophet married
was
a
it
6-year-old?
okay to
And
marry a
he's-
youngster in England?
He is your prophet for all mankind.
He's yours
for
too.
today. Okay,
you listening?
he is not my prophet. He is never going to be my
Lizzie,
prophet.
Backwards a bit.
are you listening?
Okay.
Whether
In
you're
You're
England,
saying that
in
it's
England,
okay
up
to marry a
what
6-year-old.
age,
If
up
you
to
had
what
your way.
year, children were getting married.
Right. Sorry. So today, would you like a
In
law
England.
brought in?
In England.
Would you like a law brought in saying that it's okay to marry a 6-year-old? Yes or no?
Did you hear what I said?
No, you answer my question.
Did
Do
you hear
think
what I
it's
said?
okay for
No.
Would you like to really live
I
under
am saying-
Islam where it's okay
see,
to marry a
the problem
6-year-old
with
like
discussions like
Muhammad
this-
married a 6-year-old?
I said the reason why people didn't have a problem with marrying young children because it was a socially acceptable practice, not only in Islam, also in Christianity, also in Judaism, also in Hinduism, and many
In
other
Christianity,
other
can you give me an example? Give me an example in Christianity of somebody marrying a 6-year-old. Give me an example. And?
Allow me.
I'm waiting.
Allow me.
Give me an
Okay.
example.
Do you know Rebecca? In your religion, in the Old Testament, how old she was when she got married?
Do you know? You tell me.
Maybe 3 years old, maybe a baby.
3 years old?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Maybe,
You
yeah.
don't know your Bible very well.
Do you know your
don't
Bible? You should dig this. I can give you the reference later
No,
on.
because Rebecca, when she was leaving on her camels, going back with Isaac, okay, she stole her
Which
the
Rebecca am I
household
talking
gods, and she said, "I'm so sorry, I can't."
Which
go
Rebecca am I
because
talking
I'm
about?
having my period.
see?
I'm having my
Excuse me.
period.
Which
she can't
Rebecca?
not have been
Which
free,
Rebecca? Which
can
Rebecca
she?
am I talking about? Is there only one Rebecca?
Okay, you're still not
Right.
talking. Okay, you're
Right.
still not talking
So,
about
now-
Aisha, are you? I don't.
How
blame
old
you.
was Mary and Joseph when they got married? Would you like to tell us the age?
Right, no, we're not talking about that. We're
Yes.
not talking about that. We're talking
Very
about
important.
your Quran saying that it's okay,
I
and your
said
commentaries
the